Crucifixion was the common means of execution in the Roman Empire at the time of Jesus. During the course of the Roman period, hundreds of thousands of people died crucified on Roman crosses. Indeed, at the time of the destruction of Jerusalem, 40 years after Jesus, the historian Josephus records that they ran out of wood because they had crucified so many people and started nailing them up back to back, with the soldiers inventing new ways of doing it to keep themselves entertained. The sight of a crucified man or woman by the side of the road was a common sight for the people of Jesus' day. And crucifixions did take place by the side of the road, not on top of an iconic hill like in the pictures. The Romans wanted passers-by to read the inscriptions nailed to the crosses, to see what it is that these people were killed for, and to learn not to do it themselves. Jesus' death on a Roman cross, so iconic in Christian tradition, was the everyday death of a common criminal in the Roman Empire. When the soldiers had crucified Jesus, they took his clothes and divided them into 4 parts, one for each soldier. They also took his tunic. Now the tunic was seamless, woven in one piece from the top, so they said to one another, "Let's not tear it, but cast lots for it to see who will get it." And that is what the soldiers did. Meanwhile, standing near the cross of Jesus were his mother and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Cleopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing beside her, he said to his mother, "Woman, here is your son." And then he said to the disciple, "Here is your mother." And from that hour, the disciple took her into his own home. After this, when Jesus knew that all was now finished, he said, "I am thirsty." A jar of sour wine was standing there, so they put a sponge full of wine on a branch of hyssop and held it to his mouth. When Jesus had received the wine, he said, "It is finished." Then he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. The final week of Jesus' life had spanned a number of different locations. Every morning he went into the temple where he engaged in sharp debate with the rabbis and with the priests and taught the festival crowds. In the evening he would go to the home of his dear friends Lazarus and Mary and Martha, and there he would be looked after and loved and cared for. Before that, he would pause on the Mount of Olives, and in the seclusion of the olive trees would take time to pray and to think and to catch up with the day's busyness. At the end of the week he hired an upper room, and there, whilst celebrating the history of the Jewish people, he attempted to teach his disciples for the last time the things that mattered most. But none of these locations were the defining location of God's plan that week. The defining moment came when, flogged and naked, Jesus was nailed to a wooden cross and hung up to die. At the Last Supper, handing wine to his friends, Jesus had said to them, "I will not drink wine again
until the kingdom of God comes. And as he hung on that cross, shortly before he died, he called out for a drink of wine. The kingdom of God had come. Jesus drank and declared, "It is accomplished," and he died. The defining moment of God's plan, the defining moment of God's kingdom, comes when somebody gives up themselves for the sake of others. God loved the world so much that he gave his only Son, so that whoever trusts him may have everlasting life.